ChatGPT is not our friend. It's not our ally. It's not our enemy. At least not yet anyways. It is a tool. It is a tool that will revolutionize communication and will change the world as we know it. Hi, my name is Joanne, and this is the Broadcast Sunny channel. So I was aware of ChatGPT, but didn't find use for it. And then Bing came out with Chat, and I'm a big Bing user. And when I started using it, I was using it mainly as a search engine like I always did. Then one day my daughter walked into my office and said, "I need a D&D campaign." And I was like, "Why are you asking me?" My experience is a half-hour D&D where I metaphorically flipped the table and walked out. So I was not the person to ask. And she was ranting, and I said, "Ask ChatGPT." And she's like, "They're not going to help," and went on and on. And I went to ChatGPT and I said, "I need a campaign for a D&D game." Or I need a D&D campaign. And it came up with something. I read it to her and she went, "Oh, that's pretty good." And then it had example questions. And we went down the rabbit hole after that. She went off and did her research on her own. She did, one of her campaigns had to do with a cult, and when she started asking follow-up questions about cult, she was shut down by Bing. Bing Chat will occasionally stop the conversation if it didn't like your question, which I find interesting. I don't see why it doesn't say, "I don't want to answer that right now," and continue with the conversation, but what are you going to do? So that was my intro to ChatGPT. Back in the 1950s, Alan Turing was very big in computers, and he developed a test between human and machine communications. And his belief was, if a human cannot tell if it's talking to a machine or a human, then the machine is a sentient being. Remember, that was the 1950s. When I was a teenager, this test became a big deal, and because personal computers were just coming into the homes. So one of the programs that they created was meant to simulate human conversation. And there was a student who went in and was typing on the computer thinking it was talking to a human, and was confused by it. I had played on this program that came out and was not really impressed. All it did was repeat what you said in question form. And if you did not know that it was a machine, personally, I would find, and thought it was a human, I would find the conversation very frustrating and walked off, as I heard that the student did. This was the story that went around. I'll see if I can reference it. If I can, I'll put it in the description of this box. This video. So ChatGPT, however, is leaps and bounds better than this computer program. It really feels like you are talking to a human in text form. And I know it can translate the voice very soon. Now, do I believe it's a sentient being? Hell no. I think Alan Turing had a different concept of how we were going to get to this place. So, yeah, no, it's not there yet. And hopefully it won't be, but there it is. I thought I'd bring that up. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. It remains to be seen. One thing I want to point out is that I am under the impression that ChatGPT is consistently changing. Questions that I asked last week are not getting the same responses when I asked them this week. So you may not be able to duplicate these responses. My guess is it's learning or they're making adjustments. This is the research phase of Chat GPT. Second, if Chat GPT does not like where the conversation is going, it will end the conversation and you need to start over. I personally find it shuts down when I start to ask it how it works, but I have heard others using it and it shuts down when the question kind of goes into some dark areas in the web. Third, ChatGPT is free now in its research phase, but after asking it some questions, I learned that it will not be in the future. So have fun playing with it now, and yeah, that was disappointing. $20 a month they're talking. That's a lot. Okay, so now you can find ChatGPT free with bing.com/chat. Most of the information I'm giving you is by asking Bing Chat, although I did ask it to write a script for this video. The script was just and I didn't use it. However, I read the script and I got some ideas to put into this video. You will notice that when you come to Bing Chat, there are 3 different conversation styles, and they do respond differently. For instance, you can't get Bing Chat to write a web page program for you in balance mode, and I suspect creative mode. I was surprised by this, mainly because I didn't know I was in creative and balance mode. I had done the program before, and I've seen other people do it, so I dug deeper and realized I was in balance mode. And I moved it to precise mode because I wanted a precise program, and it worked. Huzzah! So that's a neat thing about Bing Chat. I almost forgot to mention this. As with anytime you use the internet, there is a question as to where the information is coming from. So I asked Bing Chat a series of questions of how they get their information, and I encourage you to ask as well. I have had the conversation end before when I was asking more specific questions to the inner workings of it, but for this session of questions, I didn't have any issues. It could be they have updated it, or I just didn't ask anything that upset them. So this response is the one I am looking for the most, that they are trying the best they can to get reliable information from reliable sources, human monitoring, but in the end, you as the user is responsible for determining reliability. A good rule of thumb is if you are harming anyone, that's probably not a good path to be on. One other thing I want to mention for reliability, it does reference the sources in which where they got their information. Just scroll over the text, or sometimes they have it down below. So I like that about Bing Chat. I'm sure the other chat, the OpenAI chat, has the same thing. Lastly, here is my video on ChatGPT responding to my creation of an imagery. Keep in mind that the image generation takes longer than I am showing. I just cut it for the video so you're not sitting there waiting for it to generate. Yeah. I did notice recently when I was on YouTube, there was an argument, I say in air quotes, between Prince Harry and someone else, I don't remember who. And they modified the faces, and I recognized that they modified the faces via Chat GPT, or at least it looked like the same way Chat GPT modifies faces. So that was disturbing. My conclusion is that Chat GPT is a very cool tool. It is a glorified search engine that is wrapped in a natural language processor. And I think with that Google Voice Assistant simulator, it is that much closer to an AI that will fake out humans. Which leads me to that, yes, it is a great tool. However, I hate to say this, I think it's really a sign of things to come, not good things. I think it's an AI evolution that will make humans obsolete and further the class divide. And I'm thinking socioeconomic divide. Yes, I am seeing a bleak future. I don't think from my generation's almost done, but the next few generations. I am not the only one who sees this. Here are a couple of quotes. I am not a fan of Elon Musk. However, I do agree that we may be summoning the demon. He tends to say things that are mildly outrageous for looks, but I somewhat agree with this quote. And then, of course, Stephen Hawking, who is more level-headed. Success is creating effective AI could be the biggest event in the history of our civilization, or the worst. We just don't know. So we cannot know if we will be infinitely helped by AI, or ignored by it, or sidelined, or conceivably destroyed by it. And I agree with all that too. That's probably more comprehensive of how I feel. To leave you with a positive thought, I would suggest reading Isaac Asimov's book, I, Robot, and book, not movie, book, not movie, book. It's very, very different from the movie. The book is a series of short stories, and it gives me a little bit of hope of what AI could do for humanity. It's probably the only book I can think of where AI does not go haywire and destroy humanity. So, that's my thought on ChatGPT, a dawning of a new age. I don't know if it's sadly or not. I hope not.